Welcome to Randall's Retro Rewind. In this video, we are going to be reviewing the Sega Genesis video game, Disney's Ariel the Little Mermaid. It is an action-adventure game developed by Blue Sky Software for the Sega Master System, Genesis, and Game Gear. Published by Sega and released in 1992. Not to be confused with The Little Mermaid that was developed by Capcom for the Nintendo Entertainment System and Game Boy. The Sega Genesis version is what we are going to be reviewing in this video. If you want to see the Nintendo version, feel free to let us know by commenting on this video or emailing us at randallsretrorewind@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get to the game. In the game, you can choose between Ariel and King Triton. You have the 3 difficulty levels of easy, medium, and difficult. The difference between them is that easy will automatically take you to the boss when you have rescued all of the merfolk. Medium, you get less money than easy, and you have to find the entrance to the boss lair after rescuing all of the merfolk. Difficult is everything that medium demands, but it does not provide you with a map, along with less funds to fuel your adventure. The map was a great asset that I was not even aware of until after I blundered my way through the very first level. So I have a feel for what difficult was like, except without having to search for the boss lair entrance. Ariel goes around defeating enemies with music notes that comes from her hand, like Spider-Man's web. Based off of the research I have done, there are people that believe this is Ariel beating the enemies with her singing. If that is the case, what does that have to say about her singing abilities? King Triton shoots energy balls from his trident, similar to the carnage he unleashed in Ariel's secret hideout in the animated movie. There are 4 levels you can progress through. There is the reef, the sunken ships, Atlantis, and the cave. Overall, the game controls pretty well, though it took me a little while to get used to the controls. You can move in 8 directions to navigate the levels. I wish the navigation speed was a little more consistent. There are times you go from moving slowly to flying quickly in one direction. The collision detection is also very touchy. Ha! You get it? Collision? Touchy? Huh? Sorry, bad dad joke. Can't even get a laugh out of my wife tonight. Moving on. This collision detection has some issues because even the slightest protrusion from the seabed or sea ceiling, if that is even a word, can stop you dead in your tracks. There were times I would get Ariel or King Triton's hair caught and it would stop me completely. And you cannot move in the similar diagonal direction to get out. So as an example, if I was moving right, I couldn't move right and down to get out. You have to go either up, down, left, or right only to get unstuck, and then you can move on your Murray way. Did you catch that one? Murray, as in mermaid? Sorry, another bad dad joke. Another issue I have with the game is that there is no feedback from the enemies to give you any clue that you are doing anything to them. There are some looks that bosses will give you to tell you that you are doing damage to them, but all regular enemies and the shark boss in particular do not give you any sort of feedback. You just hope you are doing something to get them, and suddenly regular enemies will change color and fly off the screen. Or the shark boss that just disappears into the dark depths, which is no different than when it goes into hiding to change the hole in which it's going to appear from next. The premise of the game is that Ariel and King Triton are fighting to reverse Ursula's spell on the Atlantica Kingdom that has turned all merpeople into polyps. You know, the ugly looking green things that look like they're one step below seaweed? Yeah, those. The only way the mer people can find freedom is for good is for Ariel and King Triton to rid the waters of Ursula and her cronies. One question I have, though, is it because King Triton is almost godlike and Ariel is his offspring that they are the only ones who are not affected by the curse? If that's the case, what makes Ariel so special? That she is normal and her many sisters are cursed. Just some loose threads that were not tied up in my humble / not so humble opinion. Ariel and King Triton are the only two playable characters in the game. I do not know if this was just my playthrough or if it was specifically programmed into the game, but it seemed to me that Ariel was not as powerful as King Triton, but she got more treasure than from the chests. Is this a play on Ariel's obsession with the human world above the sea and King Triton's disdain for the human world? If I'm on the right track, let me know in the comments. If I'm completely off, tell me that too. The non-playable characters or NPCs include Sebastian the Crab, Flounder, the flounderfish, and an unnamed original character that, according to the wonderful world of Wikipedia, is named the Diggerfish, which, if it's on Wikipedia, must be true, right? Sebastian scares the enemies away from you. Flounder pushes cube rocks away so you can reach areas that are normally unreachable. The Diggerfish digs in the ground to reveal hidden treasure. Honestly, I never use Sebastian or the Diggerfish because they're not useful in regards to advancing in a level. Flounder is the only one I used because he allows you to access chests and polyps that are just out of your reach because of the rock cubes. There are the mer people that you save. You rescue men and women that have brunette hair if you are playing as Ariel. When you play as King Triton, the mermaids are red-haired like Ariel. Is this game just a bad nightmare for the king? You also get aid from Scuttle the Seagull, who you can purchase health from. Here's a heart, you heartless beast. Lives, because video games ruined my life, but that's okay, I have 7 more. Powerful attacks that are limited in quantity. More uses of your sea friends, and keys that are used to open treasure chests. When you look at the enemies in the game, the regular enemies at least, there are Ursula's eels that when they see you, they will charge after you. There are sharks that, like the eels, will charge you, but they also will home in on you if you are nearby them. There are sea urchins that will bounce and ricochet. I am so grateful sea urchins don't actually do that one in real life. Crabs that scurry along the ground, sea anemones that will deal a surprising amount of damage if you don't see them and you rest on them, clamshells that will chase after you that have a chance of dropping a pearl when you chase them away. Lava, which is more of an environmental hazard, that will shoot out of crevices in the ceiling and floor. Pirate, or as we could professionally call them, buccaneer, skeletons, that will come out of sunken ship doors and chase after you. Once you destroy them, they will fall apart and their skeletal remains will still damage you. The cannons that shoot cannonballs that do ricochet, and my personal favorite, the Olympic statues that throw discuses that home in on you. If you hit these statues enough times, they will lose their throwing arm and their head. Take that, suckers. The archer statues that bounce around and shoot arrows at you. Lastly, there are the electric eels that are more powerful than the regular eels and surround themselves with electrical rings as they charge after you. Bosses. There are 4 bosses in the game. The first one is the lava rock monster, as I decided to call it, that sits in one place and shoots lava balls at you. The lava can hit and hit you and deal damage to you directly, or it can hit the environment around you and drip and cause damage when it touches you. Then there's the lovely shark. The shark will stick its head out of 4 different holes in the sunken ship and release smaller sharks out of its mouth, because that makes sense. The sharks can be chased away, and if you don't deal with the little sharks, there is a chance that they can begin to overwhelm you. The eel-infested statue skull. There is an Olympic statue in this lair, and I suggest you deal with it before you take the boss on. After the statue has lost its arm and its head, you will then be greeted by 3 eels that have decided to infest a statue skull. The eels vomit lava at you. Seriously, I thought I had issues with acid reflux, but these dudes take the cake. What's more unnerving is that these eels somehow bring the eyes of the skull to life. When the eels are defeated, the eyes of the statue close. What wonderful family fun this game is turning out to be. Lastly, there is Ursula. Depending on who you choose to play as, will determine who you are saving from Ursula. If you choose to play as Ariel, you are saving King Triton, and vice versa. Though, the polyp Ariel looks really weird with the red hair. Ursula attacks with her tentacles and lightning attacks. As I played, it didn't matter what boss I was fighting, the technique was the same. I attacked until I got some sort of reaction, and then lined up with that area, and sprayed and prayed. I'm sure I would have had a different strategy if I played something other than easy mode, but I chose not to. Have an issue with it? Take it up with Corri. The only song that is familiar is the famous song Under the Sea. Not going to lie, this song gives me PTSD, because I, on a near weekly basis, get this stupid song stuck in my head. The odd thing is that the song is what I wake up to. I swear this song is a curse. The rest of the music is fun and energetic, with each level having its own unique music. There is different music played when you pause the screen and view the map. One issue I have with the music is that it starts over from the beginning when you close the pause screen. For a player like me who is constantly looking at the map to see where the other polyps are, means that I am listening to short segments of a song on a short loop, which gets tiresome after a while. And I'm not going to fumble my way through the level just for the sake of the music. The overall graphics are vibrant and colorful. There is a great contrast between the foreground and the background, which makes it easy to see the enemies within the character's proximity. The player, or the detail that is put into the graphics are great, especially for being over 20 years old. The overall graphics have aged very well, which is not uncommon for cartoon-style graphics. Shades and hues are used to provide some depth to the graphics. Surprisingly, they put a lot of detail into Ariel and King Triton, which is uncommon in my experience, because the detail oftentimes is not saved for the playable characters because of the extra time needed since they are moving constantly. The detail is normally reserved for the environment and static images. But they did not do that with this game. The backgrounds do have a wavy, watery look that is a nice touch to the game. Overall, this game was fun to play once I figured out the controls and realized that I was actually damaging the enemies with my attacks. It took me my second playthrough to realize how to select my sea friends, which is probably the reason why the developers have you start with Flounder in the first place, because he is the only required sea friend to use. With these older games, it's also expected that you have the game manual and you read through it, which I did not do. This would have saved me a lot of headache. This game is not too difficult to play on easy, which makes it a good game to sit down and play in a single sitting. For a guy who would not deliberately sit down to play this game, I'm glad my bride chose this to be our first game to review. I was pleasantly surprised, and am going to use a 100-point rating scale for this. With this being said, I will give Disney's Ariel the Little Mermaid a 73 out of 100. I would recommend this game to be played at least once to experience it. It may not be a record-breaking game, but it is fun nonetheless.
Welcome to Corri's Corner, a non-gamer's perspective on video games. This is all new to me. He has me talking into a microphone with a screen thing on it, but that's not what I'm here to review. I'm here to review the game. I picked the first game, Ariel's Little Mermaid game. That was my favorite movie growing up, so I figured it would be a good place to start. Relatively easy for me to review. It was a cute game. Graphics were great. Flounder, who was my favorite character in the movie, was just as cute in the game as he was in the movie, but I didn't get to see enough of him. I was very disappointed in that. Game wasn't very long. It was enjoyable to watch. It was frustrating not seeing damage that was being given to the enemies. So watching him just shoot at something and not knowing that something was happening was really irritating. And then it was over. Like, there wasn't really any big triumphant thing at the end like I was hoping there would be. There should have been more. Defeating Ursula, and then King Triton when he was playing as Ariel, or Ariel when he was playing as King Triton being freed, and that was it. There was no like big reunion like there should have been, some fanfare like there was in the movie. Ending definitely could have been better. I don't have a whole lot other to say than that for this game. It was enjoyable to watch. It looked like it would be a pretty easy game for a non-gamer to pick up and play. Not sure about the controls, but I'd like to give it a try, I think. Hope you guys enjoy our video.
The way we are going to be selecting games to review for future videos is through the website called wheelofnames.com. This will add a level of randomness to the games that we review, and if there are any games that you would like to see from PlayStation 2 to earlier, because that's what I'm going to consider retro, then feel free to comment on any of our videos, or you can email us at randallsretrorewind@gmail.com. Some guidelines though, Corri and I have decided that we are not going to have any games that have anything to do with graphic murder or witchcraft or anything like that. We want this to be clean and wholesome. So keep those guidelines in mind for any suggestions for future videos. And without further ado, here is our next video. Looks like we have the PlayStation that's been selected. Now I'm going to move over to the PlayStation wheel. And what game will we review next? It is Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition. So I hope you're looking forward to seeing that in the next video. And this is Randall signing out. And to all of you watching, be kind and rewind.